God is very good at telling me how to spend the money He gives me. He's very good. He seems to have a consistent pattern of encouraging me to run out of money by the 15th of the month so that I'm kind of broke for the rest of the month. Because it makes Satanists think of all these things they can do to make my direct express card get, an overdraft or it get, to have a purchase refused or declined. Okay. God's having me explain things that I'm not completely up on. But, if you get Social Security benefits, either retirement benefits, disability benefits, or Social Security income, I have SSDI, Social Security Disability Income. And I get money for that, and then a separate amount of money for being a survivor. Alcides died in 2006 or 2007. And even though we were divorced, I get the survivor's benefit from him, which is about 100 to 150 less than what I get from my work history. Anyway, Social Security, I've read on their site, they don't issue checks in the mail anymore. Or if they do, it's very rare. They make direct deposits in banks, but they also have an alternative of a direct express card where they put the money on a debit credit card for you. I was having trouble with the banks I was using, especially NEBANK, National Exchange Bank and Trust. The bank was manipulating my account balance, and I was bouncing checks all the time. I ended up paying about $1,500 in bounced checks before I got out of there. $1,500 just in the fees for bounced checks. They would do things like I'd make an Amazon purchase and I'd check the next day or the same day and it would be taken out of my account. Then whoever manipulating my account would remove the Amazon purchase, unpay it, and either I wouldn't notice the balance recovery, or they just changed the whole balance to reflect that I had paid it, and then they'd add it in later, like 5 days later. Here's that Amazon purchase. I was like, well, I thought this cleared the day I paid for it. National Exchange Bank and Trust was doing that to me. So I was bouncing checks. I didn't know what my fucking balance was. They kept me from being online on my phone, having an online access to my account. They would reroute my calls to Horicon Bank and National Exchange Bank and Trust. So I would get like NSA agents or CIA agents answering my questions, and it wouldn't be accurate. Anyway, God guided me to the Direct Express card. Social Security deposits my benefits directly onto the credit debit. I'll show it to you. Some hospitals are at the breaking point. Beds full, staff exhausted. Every model shows that the situation will be getting even. I don't know if you're getting screwed by the Postal Service, but I have been screwed by the Postal Service.
I think we all recognize that the numbers are going in the wrong way, so yes, it will be.
This is my Direct Express card. It's a MasterCard and it's a debit and a credit. Just like a card attached to a checking account. Only I get to keep my money and it clears once and it stays clear. Like Amazon purchases and stuff.
predicted short-term mortality risk, assessing their chances of dying in the next 12 months from
You can go to the Social Security website and read up about it. The address is www.ssa.gov. www.ssa.gov.
illnesses and medical problems.
patients will be scored on the seriousness of their illness. Can they dress, bathe, eat, walk,
And you do end up having to call a phone number to apply.
could they handle their finances or go shopping?
Now, the postal
When the existence of this
the
triage
postal
protocol
system
began,
here
it enraged
screws me a lot, or
David
has. Maybe I'm safe now that I've moved.
Leponsky.
But I had applied for a Direct Express card over the phone. It's very difficult for me to tell if I'm talking to a real Social Security or Direct Express employee or an NSA or CIA agent. But my Direct Express card got lost in the mail. Meanwhile, all my benefits were being loaded onto it. So until I got a replacement card, which I ended up having to FedEx to the homeless shelter, after being without my benefits for 2 months,
Critical care services
I couldn't even buy cigarettes. I had to give up smoking for a fucking month.
Lippovitz and others
Because I had money, but it was on the Direct Express card that the Postal Service threw away or fucked around with in some way.
Triage might look like as numbers mount.
The webinar included a chart showing how patients with the least likelihood of 12-month survival would be prevented from receiving critical care.
But anyway,
Level of rationing
so now I have debit credit
it emphasized
access
that these two doctors would have to sign off on
with the
any
Direct
triage
Express
decision.
card.
Making these life and death decisions will be an
But
enormous ethical challenge.
the problem I have
None of us want to be
is that I've been having a hard time walking
limit the care of anyone. I think the idea
because I'm recovering from the things that Satan did to my knees and my feet.
and so
I mean, for my feet, for one, I was crucified. But that's where Donna would electrocute me the most. So, if you're a survivor of ritual abuse and mind control, your guardian, whether it's your DNA mother or not, probably tortured you too as an infant and a small child, and then if they get you to sleep with guys, those guys are assigned you and they'll torture you.
Off a ventilator. Currently, family consent is needed for such a gut-wrenching decision. The Tabara family is
I'm having a hard time walking. So, it's hard for me, even if I have the money to take a taxi to an ATM machine to get cash. So, that's my problem. I'm cash strapped. I have money on the card, but when I need cash, like for coin laundry and stuff, I have to figure out this whole complicated thing on how to get cash.
He's trying to speak, and he can track you as well.
You close your eyes, Dad?
Good. Now open them. Here. The ICU is full, and the doctors are overwhelmed, and I think they may be rushing to decisions like this.
The hospital says this would happen even if there was no pandemic.
But you're in there, Papa.
The final decision could ultimately be made by a consent and capacity board with patients' rights representation. One of the most controversial elements of this debate concerns emergency medical technicians who work in ambulances. Sometimes those
But
EMT paramedics make the decision to insert a breathing tube.
different levels of government have tried to sue me. I've been thoroughly investigated. My taxes in every state where I did the taxes for Richard Haney Jr.'s income, which was our household income. I never wanted to turn my information over to a tax agency because I was afraid you're giving them all your personal information. They could create identity theft for you. Steal your identity. They've got your social security number, your maiden name, your mother's maiden name. They've got all this shit. So I never wanted to have my taxes done. So I've always done them myself.
Yeah, that can happen. It would be naive.
All my tax records have been scrutinized in every state, trying to find a mistake or an over refund or something.
David Leponsky believes that any patient
They sent me, the state of California sent me
consent and capacity board
a state tax bill for about $3,300, when we moved from Fond du Lac, turns out God told me they owe me $3,300.
Appeal process if needed.
So when they couldn't find a tax mistake, they created,
Ontario triage protocol
you know,
will be
that I owe
implemented on an
taxes. They
emergency
created a
basis
deficit.
Without further debate.
And the Premier of Ontario, the Premier of any province, can't suddenly claim now, oh, we're cocksuckers.
Apparently they can't reinforce that I owe them, because I don't. They were just hoping I'd pay them anyway, but there are some things I'm just not paying.
That's because of their failure to address it
You know, I take God's guidance on this.
Even the doctors who wrote the protocol say it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing.
China decided to work on a CTAS-1 FTT. Patient is unresponsive. GCS3.
The risk being that without a plan, the decision might be left to what they consider the crudest decision.
God sees the big picture, and whoever's guiding you does too. I mean, God and the angels of God and the commanding officers of ships, and other levels of command of our, I guess you'd call it a military. They've been training for this end times on Earth. I don't know, millions, billions of years. So you're being guided too. They see the big picture. They know how to maneuver you. If you get internal advice, you know, it comes from your guide. You can tell, because you're probably harassed by Satanists too, like I am. And they try to imitate God's voice to me all the time. But the Bible says, children of God, listen to his voice. Now, I think I'm kind of exclusively guided by God, so I don't know if God himself is guiding you guys. But you can always pray to God. He is an individual, but he's also love. And there are people in the universe who love us children of God. They love us very much. So, you're going to get love and response and loving guidance. You may not get the individual God. I think he's exclusive to me. The Bible says, for God himself is the guide of wisdom. And he's wonderful. He's wonderful about telling me how to spend money, what to buy. He knows the pitfalls. He knows companies that Satanists have purchased to change the product I normally order. He knows all the ins and outs, you know. And the agents of love who work for God, who all us children of God do, but us earthlings are a little limited in our perceptions for various reasons. But we all get loving guidance. We all get guidance from love. And God is also love. So God is a person, Paul Geishen, who lives in Fond du Lac, I think. But he is also love. So you just listen to your guidance. I mean, they'll smack you upside the head if you don't. They'll make sure you do, but just listen to your guidance. And we'll get through this. We'll be navigated through this. Well, I think I've said a lot, so I'm going to upload this